Hello, welcome back. What is going on with basketball, both college and professional? What is going on with The Walking Dead? Plus updates on other things pointlessly relevant. I'm Jeremy Guerin, and this is Pointlessly Relevant Daily. You know, before the tournament started, several people asked me, Jeremy, who do you think is going to win? A lot of people ask me that every year because they know I have a sound knowledge of basketball. Quite frankly, this is what I tell them. First off, I told them the team that I thought would win it, which was Arizona, out in the first round, by the way. But I did say it with this caveat. I said, but then again, ever since the one and done rule was put into place, quite honestly, guessing who is going to win this tournament now is really a crapshoot, all right? It's just a shot in the dark. There are so many other variables that take place now. And I told a few people, honestly, too many times the bad roughing early on in the tournament results in a lot of really good teams being taken out, okay? And it's hard sometimes for us fans to look and say, oh, he's going to be great, and he's going to be great, because the rules for college basketball are much different from the rules in professional basketball. For one thing, the big thing is zone defense. It's really hard to be a talented driver to the rim or even a post player the way they play college basketball. All right, so this is what happens. In the NBA, you can play a matchup zone, all right? But that is really complicated. Understand the basic premise is that you can't double team somebody who does not have the ball. All right? If he has the ball, you can double team him. Now you can play matchup zone to where you can be in an area as long as there's a guy relatively close to you. Okay? You can switch off on defense a lot easier. All right? But it's not like you can just guard an area and stay there the whole time. Now in college basketball, you can play zone, which means you can play a 2-3 zone, which means you can have three guys huddling down low, not guarding anybody out in the perimeter. And so when you have a generational player like DeAndre Ayton, who is going to be the number one pick in this year's NBA draft, is probably going to be an all-time great player. But guess what? In college, that doesn't mean a lot, especially once you get to the tournament and you get the suspect roughing. Because quite honestly, what will happen is A, they're going to play zone on you and force everybody else to score, and B, they're going to be a little bit rougher on you. There's going to be a lot of away from the ball contact. It's going to be almost impossible for you to get open. Yes, you can do things on the offensive rebounds. Yes, you can pop out for screens, but they don't have to switch, okay? They can stay pat and play zone. So when you got players like that, you've got teams based on great players, particularly if they are freshmen, which is what you will have in a one-and-done system. Then you've got a lot of upsets, all right? And some people are like, well, yeah, that's great. We love upsets. Really? Because the ratings don't really say that. Yes, the ratings early on are fantastic, and early on in the games of the Final Four and the finals, they're fantastic. But the fact is, once a seasoned and veteran, but still highly NBA quality talented team, and there's typically only a few of those, all right, gets to the Final Four, then those other teams who came in and beat much more talented teams simply because they are older and all these super teams are built up of freshmen who are not ready for that pressure. Okay, they'll be in the NBA in just a few months. Meanwhile, this team has players who might make an NBA roster, might not, but they're sophomores, juniors, and seniors playing against freshmen. Okay, so they wipe out those teams early on, and they, upset Cinderella story all the way to the Final Four, and then they get creamed by those upper-level teams who are talented and seasoned. Okay? Making most of the games in the Final Four not really watchable. Has there been exceptions to that rule? Yeah, and quite frankly, we've had a few exceptions to that rule the last couple of years with North Carolina. North Carolina losing a heartbreaker a couple of years ago and winning this year, that was fabulous. So what is going on? Also in the NBA, we are headed for a very, very strange playoff, all right? So you've got the Golden State Warriors, the most talented team in history, but most of their players have been going to the finals for 4 straight years. They'll be their 4th straight trip to the finals if they even make it, okay? They've gone 3 straight seasons playing into June, and guess what? They're starting to look like that. Steph Curry's often injured ankles are coming back. Draymond Green is getting banged up. Klay Thompson is getting banged up. Those role players that have to play well, like Andre Iguodala and Sean Livingston, David West, they are really banged up. So it is entirely possible that the most talented team in NBA history won't make it past the conference semifinals. I think they will. I think they'll make it to the finals. But they're not going to sweep their way. And to tell you the truth, I thought Arizona was going to win the national championship. But strange things happen. Golden State is open for a defeat, okay? If their first round matchup is San Antonio, because it looks like San Antonio might creep into that spot, they could be in trouble. Okay, maybe they sweep, but that's going to be 4 games where they're going to get hammered, okay? They're just going to get beaten up. It's going to be a couple of close games in there, too. And then you got to either play New Orleans with Anthony Davis or Portland, who is on fire with Damian Lillard. Man. And then you got to play the Houston Rockets. All right? And then you get to go to the finals to play either, again, the Cleveland Cavaliers, who clicked it on just in time, or the team that was good enough to beat them. And that's not going to be easy. So what does that mean? You also throw Oklahoma City in there. What if they have to play Oklahoma City in the second round? All right? That team wants to play Golden State. They're the only team that legitimately wants to play Golden State because Russell Westbrook wants to rip their hearts out. We are in a very interesting place in NBA basketball. We're in a very interesting place in college basketball. And there are changes coming, all right? College basketball, since the one and done deal came through, if you don't know what one and done is, a long time ago, they made this rule that you could no longer come out of high school straight into the NBA because, for a few reasons. Number one, college basketball was suffering from losing all those players, and they wanted the ratings from having the next LeBron James, having the next Kobe Bryant or Kevin Garnett play a season. And they're right. The ratings for regular season in the next few years after that was fabulous. And then, well, what I'd said happens in the tournament started happening in the tournament. And the NBA wanted the players to be a little bit more ready before they come in. Yes, LeBron James came in ready. Okay? But he's the only one, basically. All right? Some of them came in and immediately were nice role players, but most of them took 3 or 4, sometimes 5 or 6 seasons before they actually could grasp the NBA game, mostly because old school coaches back then would not play them at all. And that actually ruined a lot of their careers. But okay, fast forward into where we are now. Silver, the new president, he's got a plan that actually makes a lot of sense. And especially considering that college basketball is not doing anything for the incoming players. Also, you're still getting a lot of players that aren't ready to play, but need the experience of playing basketball. They can't just sit on a bench for 2 or 3 seasons. That's hurting teams. Also, you throw in that the last several seasons we found out that so much of the NCAA has been cheating. They've been paying players, which is what is going to happen. It's always happened, but it has been worse more now than ever because, quite frankly, you have a lot of young men and women, quite frankly, but mostly we're talking about men here. You've got a lot of men who come in and are being forced to go to college. They don't want to go to college. They want to go ahead and work in their career that they are already ready to do. They want to go ahead and start earning money and supporting their families. And yes, many of these 18, 19-year-old kids have families. And they want to do that, but they got to go to college. Oh, but Jeremy, they get a scholarship. That doesn't help them. They're going to college to go professional basketball somewhere on the planet, okay? Maybe not the NBA, but maybe the D League, the G League, the C League, or internationally, okay? But that's why they are going, and they are not allowed to. Why? Because we just don't like all these little kids getting all this money? I don't know. I know that if it was the Olympics and say our best figure skater was 15, we wouldn't care. It's unconstitutional, all right? It's kind of a really tough thing to do because you say, all right, you got to go to college. And when you get to college, you can't make money, all right? And yes, that means they can't hold a job while they're in college to have extra income. They can't do that, all right? They're not allowed to do public speaking. The schools and the companies make billions of dollars off of these kids, and they are not allowed to have a cent. And they're forced into this. Now that you think about it, doesn't this seem a whole lot more like slavery or indentured servitude at best? Adam Silver sees this. I don't agree with everything that he does, but I do think that he's somebody who is not married to the way things are being done just because that's the way they've always been done. So he's got a plan. They've got developmental leagues in the NBA right now. D League, G League. Every team has an affiliate minor league team, much like baseball does. Okay? And so here's the idea. You can come right out of high school into the NBA draft, and that team can draft you. And if you're good enough to go ahead and be learning by playing good minutes on that team, well then you can do that and you will make an NBA check. If you're not ready and you need developmental ability, then you're going to go down to the D League team or the G League team, and you're going to make around $250,000 a year. All right, yeah, that's not NBA money, but that does support your family. That is way more than most people in America get to make. That's a really great opportunity. And you get to learn by playing against other professionals, and when they see you're ready, they move you on up to play on your team. If you're the next LeBron James and you play one G League game and you score like 50 points and they're like, oh, no, that's dumb. Go ahead and come and play. If they see you're ready to give right then and there and play quality minutes that will help your team and develop you as a player, then they'll say, go ahead and play. I think that's a great idea. One part I'm still not sure about, but at least it still gives a choice, is they are saying, but if you go to college, if you choose to go to college, you have to go for 2 years. Wow. You know what? The NCAA is probably excited about that because, oh, we're going to lose so much money. Oh, and it's supposed to be about education. No, it's never been about that. It's about you guys getting your money. But here's the deal. If the NCAA thinks that this is going to work for them, it's only going to take a couple of years for them to realize, oh no. Because the automatic assumption is most will actually take the college deal. They want to go play for North Carolina. They want to go play for Duke. They want to go play for those legendary schools, right? No. Your top 20 players will go to the G League. It might even grow to your top 20 to 30 to 50 players. Some may say, oh, I'll go to college for 2 years, which is a huge risk because guess what? Injuries that ruin careers do happen. But I can go and grow as a player underneath these great coaches at Duke and North Carolina and a couple of other places. Yeah, but there's only a few of those coaches that can actually develop you. The other ones can't, which means, yeah, what few NBA talent you will get for 2 years, they are all going to be consolidated to Kentucky, North Carolina, and Duke. All right? So that is going to be a bit of an issue. Basketball is in a really weird place now. I still love basketball, though. I kind of like it being weird because weird means change, and change means news, and news is fun. It gives us stuff to talk about, and boy, do we have more to talk about. And now, onto television. The first thing I want to talk about is The Walking Dead, because it's been 3 episodes since we talked about The Walking Dead. When Carl died. Yeah, since Carl died, We've had some interesting things happen, okay? For the most part, we're following the script of the comic books, which has been the modus operandi of Scott Gimple since he took over in season 4, okay? And yes, that included fixing some errors that took place in the first 3 seasons. Why do I bring that up now? Because that's going to be important here in a minute. Okay? So in the next episode, some stuff happens, but the big thing that happens is that all of the trash people are killed besides Jadis. Okay? Negan told his people, don't kill him, just kill one. And guess what they go and do? They get angry and they just kill everybody except for Jadis. Alright? So, Rick and Michonne go to recruit the scavengers. They're all dead. And there is Jadis surrounded by walkers, which is all her former friends and family. She's an emotional wreck, and she's begging, please take me with you. Remembering the double cross and the fact that she can't be trusted, Rick basically said no. And they just left her. And then there is this really cool scene, okay? And it's hard to feel for Jadis for the crap that she's pulled, but at the same time, this is genius what she's done, and I feel like the show does a good job trying to make you emotionally resonate with Jadis. So what she does, she uses the trash, finds a narrow walkway, gets behind a trash grinder, and gets behind it and starts making noise, banging on things, and one by one, all of her walker friends walks up towards her and falls in. Including that one scene with that one old guy who obviously she looked to for counsel. When he goes, there is definitely some emotion there. That was a good episode, all right? And then, you know, Rick and Michonne are like, what did Carl mean? Does he not want us to fight anymore? And Michonne says, no, basically I think he's saying fight when you have to, but when you don't, create a better world. Okay, that's not too hard to come up with, but I understand why some people have issues with that. Then you go to the next episode, a really cool episode that sees Dwight, Tara, you've got Daryl, you've got them leading the group from Alexandria to the hilltop, and then they come upon this swamp. The swamp is too dangerous for the Saviors to take, which is why they're taking it, so they decide to mosey on through. And guess what? It's awesome. Okay, great makeup effects. You've got walkers coming up out of the swamp. Oh, it's so cool. Daryl doing his thing, Sadiq doing his thing. But then Tara tries to take revenge and tries to kill Dwight. And just when she's about to pull the trigger, oh, some Saviors have showed up. And Dwight goes out and tells him, no, I just came from the swamp. I barely survived. There's no survivors there. And leads them away. Tara, you can see, did I make a mistake in doing that? Oh, well. At the end of the episode, we get into an issue. Because we stay with the comic books, which I like, because I really like this in the comics. See, in the comics, just like this episode, Dwight is back with the Saviors, alright? Still gonna try to figure out a way to work behind the scenes and help Rick, but Negan comes up with this great idea. Take your bladed weapons, Lucille, machetes, especially arrows and bolts for your crossbows and your bows and arrows. And take the ends of them and roll them in Walker guts. Get Walker all over you. That way, even if you arrow somebody in the leg, they're gonna turn and die. That's great. In the comic books, that was so brilliant because they do that, and several main characters are in the hospital ward, and the doctors can't figure out it's a minor injury. I don't understand why this is such a problem. Somebody quickly, I think it was Maggie, but it's been a couple years since I read this issue, looks around and says, "Oh no." And then goes and checks out some of the weapons that they see, and somehow figures out what Negan has done. Oh, that's great. Is that going to happen coming up? I don't know, but there's a problem with that. Scott Gimple, did you choose to ignore this because it's not your fault? I understand, and sometimes you got to break away from what makes sense to tell a good story. I get that, but you got to be more careful. You got to be careful, because here's the deal. To the best of my memory, in the comic books, the whole biological warfare idea Negan threw out, that had already happened in the comic books. But way back on the show in Season 2, we are established a couple of facts, okay? And for those of us who read the comics, we noticed it, all right? It's in that great episode, 17 Miles Out, where Rick and Shane are going out scouting, and they get into this argument, and quite frankly, Rick lets him know, listen, You may think the baby is yours. It's not. I know what went on between you and Lori. I don't blame you. You thought I was dead. I get that. But Lori's not yours. The baby's not yours. And they get in this big fight, all right? And there's walkers coming from all over the place now because they're attracted to the noise. Here's the problem. So, Rick does this on a fence. Shane, he's been gone so long. Shane does this in the bus. They do this trick where they take their knives and they cut their hands and they wipe the blood up here, and the walkers, they smell it and they come up and they start licking it. All right? There's a huge problem with that. In both instances, those knives were used to brain walkers before they were used to cut. All right? And when that happened, immediately, us comic book fans said, oh man, I guess we're not going to get that great biological warfare idea from Negan. Okay, so back then, there was a lot of, we've got a great thing going, but we don't know what to do with it type of mentality in the first 3 seasons of The Walking Dead. A lot of things that don't make sense if you're holding true to a mythology that's created, all right? And then, starting in Season 4, Scott Gimple and Robert Kirkman got us back to the comic books, okay? They corrected the horrible mistakes of the end of Season 3 when the governor invaded the prison. With the same scene basically in Season 4, only they get it right, true to the comics, pretty much, all right? But now you've got this issue, okay? Can't blame you, though, because it still makes an incredible device. So we get to the next episode, the episode I just watched, and what the heck? We have gone on script almost the entire season! And now we are in some place us comic book readers are like, what is happening? Okay, so, biological warfare, their weapons up to get it all ready, and they're going out and everything's true to form. And out of nowhere, Rick hits Negan, and we get this great psychological sequence where it's them in this warehouse, and they're going back and forth with their banter. There's walkers everywhere. It's a great fight, all right? You need to see the episode. This is nowhere in the comics. Meanwhile, at the hilltop, they're given an invitation, and they meet these people, these nice people. They think about straightening up, robbing them, but they go back to Carl's whole thing, like, okay, let's be good people. And they find out it's worthwhile because you've got this lady who gives them this book that shows them how to do tons of stuff that they used to do back in the medieval days. All right? Crops, windmills, all kinds of crazy stuff. Now that is in the comics, but not yet. Not for several years down the line. And quite frankly, we don't even know what comes of that. All right? And at the end, the saviors decide, hey, let's just go kill everybody in Alexandria. Not Alexandria, the hilltop, because that's where everybody is. Let's defy what Negan would have wanted, because Negan's dead, that's what they think, and they're going to go. That's off script. Dwight doesn't want to go. In fact, they were supposed to not go if Negan disappeared. But no, that's what they're going to do. Awesome. And guess what? Negan wakes up and Jadis has him prisoner. Okay, so good stuff. But man, I have no idea what's going to happen next. And I like that. That's totally fine. This has been Jeremy Guerin at Pointlessly Relevant Daily. Hope you have a great day and stay pointlessly relevant.